to the water dragon. Chapter 4, Week 4, Paganism, Ancient Traditions in Modern Forms. By Kevin Fulton, Mind Magic. Nature worship. Technically speaking, what I am calling paganism, more correctly, is labeled neo-paganism. As a practical matter, however, more adherence to this matrix of spiritual path refers to themselves as pagans, and I personally prefer to simpler term. I refer to paganism as a matrix of spiritual paths because it includes many traditions, some of which may be classified as religions and some of which would not. To me, the central unifying themes of pagan spiritual traditions are a diversity of belief systems and a deep appreciation and reverence of nature. Paganism tends to include New Age versions of ancient religions and a variety of spiritual practices. Some principles forms of modern paganisms include witchcraft, Wicca, Druidism, ceremonial magic, and shamanism, just to name a few. Practices such as nature worship, meditation, yoga, prayer, chanting, singing, dancing, herbalism, healing, performing rituals, casting spells, and other forms of magic are typical. Paganism as a whole, like mind magic, tend to be highly eclectic and pragmatic. It includes no established doctrines or dogma and embraces a vast diversity of belief systems. It honors the integrity of the individual to create and choose their own belief systems. Most pagans are likely to be tolerant of the belief systems of others, insofar as they do not seek or attempt to impose their beliefs on other people. Most pagans tend to base their beliefs on personal affinities and effectiveness. Perhaps the most powerful aspects of paganism, in my view, is that it all allows for the adaptation or creation of belief systems based solely on personal choice as a means to manifest individual intentions and purposes, or as a way of life for experiencing the divine. A detailed exposition of paganism and its various traditions is well beyond the scope of this chapter and the purpose of this book. My intent is primarily to present some key concepts and techniques that may be used to enhance the practice of mind magic. Foremost is a prevailing attitude in paganism that belief systems serve to cultivate modes of consciousness that in turn form your experience of reality. I have previously described beliefs as repeated thoughts or clusters of associated thoughts. Accordingly, a belief system can be viewed a cluster or matrix of associated beliefs that reinforce one another and effectively define the limits of the reality you experience. A belief system will tend to filter out perceptions it does not recognize as valid realities. Following the analogy of the mind as a computer, a belief system can be thoughts of as an operating system. A computer can only process programs compatible with the operating systems it is using. It logically follows that your belief system is the primary determining factor in what you can or cannot manifest as an actual reality in your experience. This explains the power of paganism as a spiritual path, as it allows for the evolution of beliefs and therefore for an expansion of belief systems as whole. In other words, it opens us up to experience dimensions of reality that would otherwise remain out of our reach. This is literally expansion of consciousness and also of all that is. It is not a means to an end in some final salvation, but it is a perpetual and external process of ultimate, unlimited spiritual growth. Now we come full circle and return to nature as central to pagan belief systems. Nature, as I define it here, includes the entire cosmos in all its infinite dimensions. Paganism tends to view deities as synonymous with nature. Individual deities or spirits are typically associated with aspects of nature or human nature and the divine as present in all things. Also, that is primary practice aimed to interact with nature or deities to cooperatively produce unique experiences to gain insight or information to manifest an intention or achieve enlightenment. The easiest method for interacting with nature is through meditation or simply engaging in silence, in silent appreciation of natural world. Simply as this may be, it is nevertheless a profound means of establishing presence and experiencing pure being. Deep, heartfelt appreciation of the natural world opens up your mind and consciousness to recognition of the divinity inherent in all things, stars, plants, animals, and even minerals. There are all suddenly seen as living organism, vibrant, energetic, and as expressions of the intentions of eternal source from which they manifest. Pagans celebrate the cycle of the natural world, the changing of the seasons, the phases of the moon, and astronomical alignments. The solstice and the equinox are of particular importance. These are associated with major turning points in the cycle of life, growth, harvest, disintegration, and death. The great dance of dark and light that keeps the cosmos in balance. Death is simply transition to a different plane of existence and necessary for renewal and rebirth. Most pagans accept reincarnation in some form or another. Existence and even the entire universe unfolding from and unfolding back into eternal source, an endless evolutionary process that is cyclical, but without any ultimate beginning or end. Do not think that I'm trying in any way to encourage you to become a pagan or convert you to paganism. First of all, pagans do not proselytize or attempt to convert anyone. Secondly, I do not call or identify myself as a pagan. I don't even think of myself in terms of labels or classifications. That is to fall into the trap of mind identification and ego consciousness. I simply accept certain spiritual principles associated with paganism. If and how you decide to follow this path is entirely up to you. Goddess, God, and the Infinite One. The largest grouping within modern paganism identify themselves as Wiccan. Wicca is actually a relatively new but established and a legal recognized religion. Nevertheless, there are many different forms of Wicca that include a wide variety of different beliefs and practices. Some see Wicca as simply the latest organized incarnation of ancient nature religions and goddess worship cults. With the rise of Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire, such groups and many other pagan traditions came to be grouped together under the label of witchcraft. This was primarily a means of viciously stamping out any so-called heretical view or dissent against the orthodox version of doctrines and dogma. It was only a means by which the Catholic Church greatly increased its riches and the personal fortunes of the inquisitors by seizing the property of the accused, who were savagely tortured to confess and then usually subject to the agonizing fate of slowly being burned to death at the stake. This persecution quite often fell disproportionately upon women, and no doubt some of the deeply sexually repressed clergy took a perversely sadistic delight in the subjugation and suffering of women who they generally viewed to be less than human. Despite this corruption of the term through centuries of demonization and disinformation, of nevertheless view Wicca as a modern form of organized witchcraft. Some may disagree, but I think anyone can practice witchcraft without being a Wiccan. Still, I include Wicca as falling under the broader classification of witchcraft and paganism. We need not, however, get caught up in semantic debates, and of course, you are free to view these distinctions as you see it. My primary focus in this section is to present ideas about deity that I find highly useful, especially due to their almost genetic nature. By this, I mean that most Wiccans primarily use the basic beliefs of God and goddesses, also frequently called Lord and Lady. There is a tendency in Wicca to pay special attention to the goddess and see the god as her consort in co-creation. This seems to be a natural reaction to centuries of patriarchal domination in religion and culture. Ultimately, however, goddess and god are usually understood to be dual aspects who unify in the one great spirit. The great rite or sacred marriage is a ritual that symbolizes this ecstatic union. As an actual fact, most Wiccans personify the goddess and the god in the forms of the triple goddess and the horned god. The triple goddess is seen as representing phases of the moon that also symbolize the female life cycle: maiden, mother, and crone. The horn god is essentially a solar deity, representing the fertilizing power in nature that impregnates the mother goddess to give birth to the prolific diversity of forms found in nature, found in the natural world. Some Wiccans, depending on the tradition that they follow, associate goddess and god with more distinct deities such as Cernunnos as the horn god of the forest, or Diane as goddess of the moon. Fortunately, Wicca, like paganism in general, encouraged the free thoughts and action of the individual. It embraces learning from nature and recognizing the divinity in all things, all living things. It celebrates the cycle of nature to enhance spiritual awareness or empower magical workings. Wicca teaches that the one great spirit, God and Goddess, exists in all things. In the stars, sun and moon, rain and river, sky and sea, and in all of creation. This view of deity is, in my opinion, the most powerful belief system I can imagine, as it includes the most diversity and therefore the most opportunity for interaction while maintaining the pure simplicity of wholeness. This is the richest version of the divine I can conceive of, an expression of the entire universe as a dialectical unity that is polyistic, pantheistic, and monotheistic at once and without contradiction. To me, this represents an ideal model of the cosmos. The goddess representing the eternal source, the unmanifest field of pure potential and power containing all energy and information, while the god represents the manifest universe of infinite forms, expressing the energy and information hidden in the mysterious unmanifest. The one spirit as the incarnation of the perfect unified wholeness of God and Goddess. I personally prefer to call this spirit the infinite one, the personification of all that is. Everything is alive. In previous sections, I talk about the inherent divinity within all things. Everything contains life force, consciousness, and intention. There is an infinite interconnectedness of all things. All consciousness is one. Individual entity can be viewed as simply points of perspective in this infinite field of self-aware energy and information. On this level of being, all communication takes place instantly. In quantum physics, Bell's theorem indicates that information transfers can be placed instantly. This implication is distressed to many scientists as it violates Einstein's theory of special relativity, which states that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Still, other scientists have resolved this apparent contradiction by posting the idea of non-locality, which basically states that information exists in a dimension outside of space-time. Bell's theorem has experimentally proven correct and accounts of quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is nothing more than the observation of the infinite interconnectedness of all things. This is an aspect of the field of pure potential I have been describing. Mystics and shamans have been aware of this field and its characteristics for thousands of years. In New Age terms, it is often called the astral plane, and ancient shamans have long referred to it as the matrix, an infinite web of light and color, patterns of energy and information unfolding and enfolding again back into the eternal source. This also explains the world's sorcery. Someone with the knowledge and power to manipulate source energy to manifest in accordance with their deliberate intent. This all indicates the value of using images or objects in the practice of magic. Infinite interconnectedness allows anything to influence the field of pure potential with vibrations that add power to the manifestations of an intention. In accordance with the law of correspondence, different images or objects possess specific qualities that must match the vibrational frequency of the intention, or harmonic resonance cannot occur and add energy to the particular intent. The practice of mind magic does not require the use of any ritual, tools, or objects. Creative visualization of an image intensely focused on and clearly defined has the same power as a material object. Nevertheless, there is a value to working in nature at times. The existence of hidden dimensions includes entities, or spirits if you prefer, that may be induced to cooperate with you. This can be through communication of information or to help you manifest an intention. Such entities can also be contacted on astral planes, but nature spirits may be more useful for certain purposes. For example, you can gain much knowledge and powerful ally by communing with spirit of a special tree. This is just one possibility. You can imagine the study of nature-centered spiritual belief systems can teach you many methods of tapping the infinite organizing power of all that is by intentionally interacting with the natural world. Creating your own rituals. I will not be prescribing or describing the performance of any particular rituals. These are widely available in books and websites about Wicca, witchcraft, and magic. I encourage you to choose, combine, and create your rituals as you see it fit. I hope to inspire you to realize the endless possibilities inherent when you apply your imagination with a view as to the purpose of any given ritual. You may not have any interest in performing formal rituals at all, nor are they necessary. Rituals can be viewed simply as additional techniques you can add to your magical practice if you wish. In this section, I focus on describing types of rituals and their various purposes. Pagan rituals are often performed to celebrate celestial systems related to the changing of the seasons or phases of the moon. Rituals from ceremonial magic commonly includes invocation and evocation, dedication and initiation, divination, and spellcasting. I will cover spellcasting or spellcrafting, as I prefer to call it, in detail in the next section. Remember that in mind magic, you never need to physically perform any ritual and can get equally effective results with virtual rituals. You simply perform the ritual in your imagination. Basically, invocation and evocation are similar rituals, with the only difference, as I see it, being a matter of perception. Invocation is the act of conjuring a deity, entity, or spirit within yourself. If you prefer, you can view this as similar, activating specific qualities within your consciousness. There are many methods of performing invocation. These can range from simple devotion, prayer, chanting, reciting a formal call of the deity, or elaborate ceremonies that may include elements associated with the deity and even dressing up as the deity. While evocation is the conjuring of a deity, entity, or spirit to appear to you in external form, evocation is used in general when you seek the help of an entity, and invocation when you are seeking insight, transformation, or to activate energies related to a specific intention. The same method used for invocation can also be used for evocation, but evocation requires the creation of a space in which the entity is to appear. In mind magic, this may be a physical space or an imaginary one. Further, since mind magic views inner and outer reality as an essential unity, the distinction between invocation and evocation is viewed as an artificial one. Dedication and initiation rituals are also similar to one another, but serve different purposes. You may perform a ritual to dedicate yourself to a particular deity or spiritual path. In some formal traditions, such as Wicca, dedication is a ritual used to begin a period of apprenticeship that lasts for a year and a day before the candidate can be actually initiated as a member of the group or coven. You can also perform rituals of self-initiation into a formal tradition. These rituals vary depending on traditions, but the primary action usually revolves around the recitation of a charge or oath. Divination is essentially fortune-telling or a means of acquiring information for some other purpose. It may involve the use of tarot cards, rune stones, channeling, or the I Ching. Obviously, this is often done without any ritual, but there are many rituals designed to enhance results. Rituals related to crafting often involve the use of meditation, prayer, chanting, energy work, and sometimes even singing and dancing. Usually, the primary purpose of the ritual is to clarify the intention, to build up emotional intensity or spiritual energy prior to casting the spell to increase its effectiveness. Such rituals can often have powerful results. For example, intone the ah sound from japa meditation repeatedly prior to casting a spell, and then intoning the om sound repeatedly while knowing and visualizing a successful result is easy and effective. Spell crafting. This is not a spell book, and as with the ritual section, I will not be describing any in detail. You can easily obtain spell books dedicated to specific types of spells such as candle magic, crystal magic, sigil magic, earth magic, and various forms of witchcraft. In addition, all these and hundreds of spells can be found for free on the internet, often categorized by subjects such as love spells, money spells, healing spells, spells for protection, etc. There is no shortage of ready-made spells available for the various curious magicians. The most powerful spells, however, will be those that which you create yourself once you have made some practice. This is the magical art of spell crafting. When you craft your own spells, they can be much more precisely worded and perform to fit your intention, emotions, imagination, and beliefs. These are actually the essential ingredients in spell crafting of successful spells. The spell is actually a model you are creating to activate and energize these qualities of consciousness and shape them into energy forms that act to manifest the intent of the spell. When crafting spells, always consider carefully whether what you are asking for might manifest in a form that causes unintended consequences. Also, keep in mind the infinite interconnectedness of all things, and that this implies the law of karma. You cannot harm another without also harming yourself. It is usually best to establish presence, then cast a spell with perfectly clear intention and allow the universe to handle the details. Thank you for joining me today. Mind Magic by Kevin Fulton. Check the playlist for chapters 1, 2, and 3. Welcome to the Water Dragon. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week for chapter 5. New Age Tantra, the Energy, Body, and Sex Magic by Kevin Fulton. Thank you. As usual, links are in the description below.